Hi, I'm Myra Robinson, and I was ordained in 2016 at CHIME, the Chaplaincy Institute of Maine, which started 20 some years ago. And we've been churning out interfaith ministers since then. We're up to about 200, I think. So lots of people out in the community, and now, being able to be online across the world. If you don't know yet, this coming school year, we are starting a totally online program as an option. We've also got the in-person option and the blended, so a little bit of both. But I know that we all already have somebody out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, who's interested in doing it. So it's going to be an exciting time with the new reaching out to more and more people. Um, Chime is an interfaith wisdom school that ordains interfaith ministers who serve in their communities with integrity, spiritual presence, and prophetic voice. Tonight, we have four recent graduates who were ordained June 4th from Chime to speak on the theme, What Ordination Means to Me. After they each go, I'll open it up for questions, Q&A time that you can ask clarifying questions of them or further questions about their shares. And then I'll open it up for a Q&A for Chime in general that I might be able to answer about program stuff. So each of them will share for a brief few moments. But first, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. If you Welcome to this, the last open house of 2023. So the next open house for Chime will not be until January 17th, 2024. So this is a special one for that reason, and because just last year we started doing the A July open house. Usually we just stopped over the summer, but we started doing it because I said, we have graduates who would make a great panel for the theme, What Ordination Means to Me. So our first one was last year, and it went over so well that we're repeating it this year. Hopefully it will become a tradition. And although ordination was June 4th, we give them a little time to let things settle and have them do the July open house. So 4 of the 10 graduates that we had were available to do this tonight. So we will start off. I'll go ahead and call on you. How's that sound? To just present on that theme, what ordination means to me. But first, I will say that their names are Harvard McFarlane, Lori Milner, Amos Liston, and going first, Tracy Weaver. Take it away.
Welcome, everybody. I am Tracy Weaver. I'm based in Hollis, New Hampshire, Southern New Hampshire blended cohort. What ordination means to me is a little bit of the backstory. For 3 years before I joined Chime, I was in discernment about my own career. My profession is as a therapist and clinical director and work with mental health and substance use. And I've seen a lot, felt a lot, and I needed, after the pandemic, to nurture my soul, meet new people, learn and reflect about what my God was trying to tell me. And sent in the application, and I thought when I would come out and being ordained, I would have my path sort of mapped out and I'd be raring to go, the next career, here I go. And didn't quite work out that way. What I did gain was fabulous insights into myself, I've slowed down tremendously. I've been accused of being a bit of an overachiever. I'm busy, busy, busy. And 2 years of reflecting, 2 years of meeting people, 2 years of doing hospice work. I found my calling. It's not how I envisioned, but I have determined that I am an advocate. I'm an advocate for people to care deeply and use my spirituality and all my knowledge to be an advocate for those struggling with substance use, mental health. But the kicker over the last 2 years was that I found my true divine working with vigils and end of life dying. I am so comfortable with all three topics, and the ordination was the start of putting on another perspective that I roll into who I am. I'm looking forward to doing a wedding. I'm looking forward to being a part of my mother's service. She asked me, I helped her plan her funeral. She's my best advocate for bracing transitions of death. She helped me find my voice of softness, and ordination means to me that, okay, on paper, I have the rights and responsibilities to do all of these things that society feels more comfortable with having, but it also defines another dimension of who I am. And I think being ordained, you don't put me in a bucket as an interfaith chaplain, because we go so many different ways. We express ourselves. I work as a chaplain as I am a therapist. I give safe space, and being ordained of that is a validation that I've done the work. I'm excited, but I can provide a different dimension for people that are so, so needing and longing for it. I still do hospice work, all volunteer. I don't know exactly where my ordination credential will take me yet. I'm just being patient and just sort of rolling right now. So ordination in a nutshell was giving me voice to truly who I am. And so that's my story. I'm sticking with it. And it's great to be here with you tonight. And any questions or anything, I'm happy to share. I'm pretty transparent with anything you might want to ask. But thank you. I don't know how many minutes that was, but it felt about right.
Perfect. It's all perfect.
Thank you.
Lori, thank you, Tracy. Lori, would you like to go next?
Sure, and thank you so much to Stephanie Chamberlain and Cindy for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And it was good to see Karen again, and it's good to meet all these new people. It's always good to see Jean and Beth. Yes. Okay, so for me, ordination for me, I think it just meant like it's an opportunity for service. I mean, I've been in different trainings over the years and stuff and wanted to do things, but all of a sudden now it's like people are gonna take me for, that's not the word I wanted. I couldn't think of it. They're gonna take me seriously, I guess, or yeah. Opportunities I've had already, even before I was ordained, I was asked to do a memorial service. And so I did that 3 days before ordination. And then ordination was on my birthday. So that was a really big thrill. Couldn't think of a better way to spend my birthday than getting ordained. So yeah, I did that memorial service, and then, excuse me, and then was called by the funeral home a couple weeks later to ask if I'd be interested in doing another. And I wasn't available at that date, but they called me, so I'm on their list. And the first service I did was at the Maine Veterans Cemetery here in Augusta. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you I'm checking in from Chelsea, Maine. And so Augusta's next door. So anyways, when I went to find, I did a fact-finding mission before actual day of that first memorial service. And so I was over at the office for that cemetery, and the lady asked me if I wanted to consider having my name on the list of people that they could call if they needed somebody, and I said, well, that's my demographic, people who don't already have a faith community to go to, and so I want to be available for that. So I called her a couple weeks ago and put my name on that list. And then there's an organization in Augusta called Bridging the Gap, and I was looking at interning there last fall. The director had a bunch of irons in the fire at the time, and didn't think she'd be able to provide the necessary oversight, but she said, stay in touch. And so I did my internship at the Chelsea Food Bank instead. And I got a hold of Sarah after ordination, reached out by email to her, and she said, yeah, come in. So I'd forgotten I had done this, but I wrote a resume last year when I was looking, to do internships. So she had that on her desk, and I said, oh, did I do that? I mean, out of sight, out of mind. Anyways, so yeah, she's kind of thinking the possibility, and she wanted to talk to her staff about it, but they were thinking about the possibility of me actually caring for the staff in some way. Because I put on my resume that I was the assistant suicide prevention program manager when I was working at Westover Air Reserve Base in Chicopee. And they kind of keyed in on that, and they were thinking maybe some resiliency training or something. So anyways, got things swirling in my head for whatever point they say, hey, can you do this? So actually a friend from Westover reached out for spiritual care a couple weeks ago, and we got on Zoom and did a nice, she basically wanted chaplaining. So I was able to provide that for her. And her comment was, because we were talking about, people we both knew, and Matt Zimmerman, the chaplain at Westover years ago. And she said, I went to him one time, and she said, I always go, whenever I need help, I turn to the church. And so even though I'm interfaith is broader than a particular denomination, I let that go. I definitely was grateful that she reached out. I did my senior project twice since I did it for class. I've done it on Zoom 2 times, and have been asked by a friend she's in a Mormon church, and she's taking care of the youth group there, and she wants me to come present it there. And so I said, okay, yeah, we can do this. I talked to my veterinarian today, because I was in there for my dog getting heartworm tests for her it was fine. It was a good test. But anyways, I asked what kind of spiritual care or whatever they have for people when they have to put their pets down. And so they gave me their packet of information. And I said, the reason I'm asking is because I'm an interfaith chaplain. And they're like, oh, okay. And then I also did a service. I joined the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Augusta back in April. And so in the summer, we don't have a full-time pastor in the summer. And so the congregates, do service, but I put on my stole and put Reverend Lori Ann Milner on my title for the order of service. And I did my service the 2nd of July. And I think, good grief, I think that's about it that I've got for chances for service. The thing I like about interfaith is if I had stayed in my traditional Catholic circle, it would be a very narrow circle and not much opportunity, there are opportunities, but I've done those already and I want something else. But interfaith is like, get all of it. You can just put yourself out there, like Myra says, and, see what spirit brings you, see what divine drops in your lap. And I think that's about. Oh, one thing I will say is that having been through Chime, having been with different people, different worldviews, different faith outlooks, different whatever, I feel more hopeful about my future than I ever have. I really do. And I think maybe part of it because I'm shedding some toxic theology that I had picked up in more conservative evangelical fundamentalist settings, shedding those. And so, I just am like, wow, I just feel like there's a wide open world in front of me. It's just, beckoning me to come and bring the gifts that I have. So that's my story. And I'll be glad to answer questions afterwards. Thank you, Harvard. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lori. Amos, would you like to go next? You got to unmute.
I was saying, sure. So hearing from some of you, well, okay, first I'm Amos, tuning in from Portland, approximately half a mile from the Chime Church building, which has been very convenient. But hearing some of you who are returning and or incoming students, it made me feel kind of envious because we have graduated, and it's not there in the same fashion, although I, for one, and I'm pretty sure everyone, will be keeping in touch in myriad ways as an alum. So and then this question, what ordination means to me. It brought to mind another couple questions that have recurred throughout my Chime career and for many people. And one of those is, what brought you to Chime? So get ready, you're going to be asked that question many, many times. And also, who is God, or how do you define spirit? You know, that's kind of always in the ether, something that we talk about. But I would say a few things. In the first place, becoming ordained sort of formalizes or reifies something that has been much more vague and amorphous, but always there throughout my life, and certainly my adult life. You know, taking courses, exploring different paths, but also just talking to people in a spiritual way that is not readily recognized and sometimes welcomed by society at large. And I think that many of us come to Chime because of that, because it is a safe space and a space to formalize this kind of thing. So now I've graduated and it is concrete, you know. But that brings me to the second point, which is many times we say ordination is not an end, or graduation is not an end but a beginning, and I agree with that. I'm in a different position from some people who may be younger, who may be moving into it as a career option, which I am not. I'm certainly going to be a chaplain in a variety of ways, but I'm not going to get a job, in other words. And so I feel like right now it's still a period of gestation, because there's so much ground that we cover in Chime, not only formally, but just all of the reflection and conversation. And now I can really try to fit it into certain kinds of avenues that I may want to pursue. And for me, I think those, so far, what I know, those may include guest ministry at some churches. I really enjoy doing ceremony and ritual, and of a variety of kinds. And I think possibly also spiritual direction in a group setting, though maybe not as a private practice per se. And a third thing is that, speaking of private practice, I was in a private practice as a psychiatric nurse practitioner for many years, a couple decades. And that there is a similarity in the sense that it's very deep listening. It's intimate, but it's a different focus, not specifically spiritual in the way that this is now as a chaplain. So I feel a sense of responsibility in this new role that I certainly had in my career as a nurse practitioner, but it's different. It has a different focus, and it's just larger, and in some ways it's freer for me. But it still has that intention of listening deeply and being present and helping people explore for meaning. And then finally, I feel like I just realized this the other day. I'm a member of the clergy. Well, who knew? Well, I really didn't think of it in those terms. One of the things that happens at Chime is that people can be and often choose to be called Reverend so-and-so. And, I haven't chosen to do that right away, because I still tend to think of it as a person who's been to divinity school. But it is broader than that. We are in ministry and in service. And so I just kind of thought, holy cow, I'm a cleric in a certain way. But it's nice. It's a community, and it's an approach to the world, I would say, and to the individual that is very special. So that's pretty much my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you, Amos. All right, that leaves Harvard, last but not least.
Last but not least. Hello, everyone. I am Harvard. I am in Augusta, Maine. I'm Lori's neighbor. And, it's interesting, when we were asked to do this, the idea of what ordination means to me, I immediately went to, wow, it's changed. And actually, I think it's evolved. A lot has evolved for me, not necessarily changed. There's been a lot of full circle. There's been a lot of, oh yeah, it means more now. I'll say what I said at one of our last workshops, which was, what I've learned is I achieved graduation. I received ordination. It is very different. And so I am a team lead in IT. I'm a project manager and a business analyst. That's what I've done all my life. And this is very different for me. And just a little bit of background. About 13 years ago, I lost my brother. And it was a very difficult time for me. And I struggled to figure out how I didn't know that he was in such pain that he would take his life. And unbeknownst to me, that started a journey for me, because what I realized was that I hadn't really been as present for him. I hadn't really been a listener. And, I moved on, and through the years, I went through some difficulty myself, and I ended up going into recovery. As I was in recovery, I got involved in the recovery community. And as I saw people in the recovery community, I was really drawn to the fact that people, we can attend to people's medical needs, their health. We can attend to people's mental needs. What about that spirit? What about that human spirit? What about that peace that can be so broken? And so between the need to feel present after my brother, and then experiencing all this about spirituality, I went on a search. And one of the things that happened on my search was I was in a moment in my home on the couch where I was trying to figure out, okay, is it this seminary or is it Chime? And out of the blue, I heard the word Chime. the funny part is the TV was on and it was a financial app commercial for Chime, some financial app. But little things like that just seem to happen a lot. And I seem to be corralled into all the right places. And so I did listen. I did move into this 2-year program in Chime. I was on Wednesday nights in person, but COVID was waning, but still on. And so part of it was in person and part of it was video.
Oh, sorry.
Video. And so I have become very, very close with my cohort and my extended class. And I have that to tap into. It's amazing. And so as an ordained minister, yeah, I'm actually, I've never considered myself somebody who would preach. That's just not me. And yet at the end of July, I'm going to be standing at a pulpit in a church doing it. And I'm pretty excited because I've learned so much and I've gained so much. And I have evolved so much. And now I get to share that with people. And who knows, maybe somebody will hear something that will help them evolve or make a decision or do something. So it moves on, this thing, whatever it is, and it's beautiful. And that's probably a good place for me to stop. Happy to answer any questions when the time comes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Harvard. Thank you, Amos and Tracy and Lori, for all of you sharing what ordination means to you.